The latest Pompey news, updates every day from the Pompey Sound news desk.
John Messino is asked about Mackenzie KIRK's experiences during the international break.
Yeah, pleased for Mackenzie. He's played 2 games. I think the second one, a really good performance against Germany, I believe, and a tight game. Whenever one of the home nations like Northern Ireland, is properly competitive against one of the big boys of Europe, I think is really positive. And Mackenzie getting those minutes that he hasn't necessarily had here, I think is really positive for us. He's already come in and played in the Championship, which I'm pretty sure is a good, well, I think anyway, is a really good achievement for someone coming from the second division in Scotland. It's a really big step up. It's a really big adjustment. We signed Mackenzie because we think he can do it. We don't need him to come and play 40 games this season, but we're going to push him to play as many games as he possibly can. So I think we would never have included him in squads or brought him on if we didn't think that he could compete at the level. It's just about reintroducing him slowly into that. He hasn't had the couple of weeks with us, but he's had competitive football, which is great.
There does seem to be a quiet confidence around Pompey that this young man who is stepping up quite a few levels, really, coming into the Pompey side, featuring for a considerable period of time in his debut substitution appearance, and also being happy to take on the likes of what John Messino described as one of the big boys in Germany in the under-21s. And it seems that there's a possibility that they're thinking that as long as he carries on hurrying up, then he will be an excellent reserve number 9 should Colby Bishop, perish the thought, pick up an injury. I suppose there's a chance he could get yellow carded, or he might just need pick up a suspension because of yellow cards, or even sent off. Surely not. Or maybe just needs a rest. Certainly in some of the less important games that Pompey are going to be facing over the coming weeks and months. And I'm not saying, of course, that a third round FA Cup game isn't going to be important. Just depends on who the opponents are. But part of what Pompey are doing is bringing on youngsters. And they seem to be doing it really well, very cautiously, very methodically, very meticulously. And Mackenzie KIRK is referenced very often, or more often than perhaps some of the other youngsters, because we suspect they have high hopes for him, and Messino anyway, wants those high hopes to be fulfilled sooner rather than later. John Messino's been updating the press on Pompey's more than half a dozen injuries, beginning with that of Callum Lang.
Callum is progressing nicely. There's nothing imminent in terms of his return. We are still looking at November. We have penciled in the Millwall game, November 22nd. He is doing okay. Shaughnessy is about 2 to 3 weeks behind Callum in terms of being a very, very similar injury and having the same surgery. Overall, we probably won't see him until Christmas, when we'll maybe look at that Charlton game, December 29th. Nicola Schmid, Nico's doing well. He can do everything, apart from actually going out there and putting on a pair of goalkeeping gloves. So he has been running, he's been doing plyometric work, he has been doing a bit of goalkeeping work with the softballs outside, but we're still waiting for the hand to fully heal. If we are looking at it realistically, we're probably going to see Nico after that third international break, from November 22nd. Franco Ume, hamstring, out before joining Pompey on September 1st. Franco is probably about 3 to 4 weeks away from a return to training. He might be training around that Millwall game, November 22nd. He has spent a long time out. He didn't train properly with Crystal Palace before he signed here, so he's going to take a bit longer. Thomas Waddingham, torn thigh, out since September 12th. He has been out running and is progressing nicely, but we are still 3 weeks post-injury, so it's November for him, probably around Millwall, November 22nd. Jacob Farrell, groin, out since September. He has a persistent groin problem, so we've used the past 4 weeks to offload him from the squad. He's not actually available at the minute. He will be back training with a modified training program over the next 10 days. It's been a persistent problem for him over the last year or so. Injury-wise, it's been the big thing for Faz, so we've wanted to get that right and get him fully fit for when he is back after last year. Josh Murphy, ankle, out since September 20th. We're still monitoring Murph's situation. He's okay. We've been very, very cautious, and that will be the case for next week or so. It will most likely be Stoke, October 25th for him, rather than Leicester or Coventry. That will give him an extra week's training. It's dragged on longer than we've hoped, but we expect him to train Friday today and give him a good week to get back for Stoke.
We said this last season, and I think we said it the season before. It's a bit early in the season to almost be able to put out a full strength side of players who we can't play because they're injured. We've got 7 there, all of whom are worthy of first team consideration, surely. And what's more, they're all over the pitch. So another 4 or 5, do your maths, 4 injuries, and you shouldn't joke about it, but we'd be able to put together a team that's as good as the team that we are putting out of players who are injured. Now, no side at any level of it in football can tolerate those kind of absences, the unavailability of so many prominent players. I'm not going to name names, but surely 2, 3, possibly 4 of those players are automatic first team picks for the starting 11. Automatic picks. So that leaves us considerably hampered. Now, are all the other clubs that we're up against in the Championship suffering the same kind of injury crisis that we are? We can only sort of, lick our finger and put it to the wind and say that it does seem as though there are an awful lot of injuries elsewhere, but that doesn't feel as good as suggesting that Lady Luck just doesn't shine on us sometimes, and in particular when it comes to injuries. Fingers crossed, then, against Leicester, Coventry and Stoke, that we don't pick up any more injuries. And if the progress that was outlined by John Messino of most of our injured players at the moment goes on and continues and achieves full fitness for them, it looks as though Millwall, November the 22nd, they better watch out, because we could actually start with our starting 11. The football news agency The 72 have asked their 2 top football experts to predict the outcome, Leicester versus Pompey.
James Ray. This should be a close game. I think Portsmouth are well equipped to deal with Leicester City, with their centre-back pairing one of the division's most underrated in my eyes. The danger comes out wide and in deeper midfield areas from LCFC though. Loan signing Jordan James is showing great box-crashing abilities, while Abdul Fattahou's patented cut-in and shoot has already undone numerous defenders. It sets up to be a close game, and I'm not sure there will be anything to split the two. The Foxes have the players capable of snatching all 3 points with a magic moment. However, I've got faith in Pompey's ability to grind out a result, so I'll go for a draw. Prediction: Leicester City 1, Portsmouth 1. Harry Mayle. Leicester City have adapted pretty well to life back in the Championship. LCFC are aiming for an immediate promotion back to the top flight. Their squad is littered with Premier League quality, and they will fancy their chances against anyone on their day. The Foxes are unbeaten in their last 7 league games. Portsmouth will be in confident mood after their win over high-flying Middlesbrough though. Pompey are only 3 points off the playoffs. John Messino's men will be in for a tough test at the King Power Stadium though, and will need to be at their best to get something. I think they will slump to a loss in the end. Prediction: Leicester City 2, Portsmouth 1.
You can always spot the football experts when they're doing their predictions because they tend to go for 2 of the most frequent outcomes, 2-1 and 1-1. I remember when old, what's-his-face, Mark Lawrenson was doing a thing on BBC Sport where every Friday he would go head-to-head with some celebrity. It was usually a rapper, because the BBC are constantly trying to get young people interested in conventional broadcasting and media, i.e. themselves. And Lawrenson predicted every single Premier League game 2-1, 1-2, 1-2, 2-1, 2-1, 1-2, 2-1, because that is apparently statistically the most likely result of a typical football match. So those 2 guys, one's gone 2-1 to Leicester, that's Harry Mayle, and James Ray has been kinder to Pompey and reckons that he has faith in Pompey's ability to grind out a result, and he's gone for the 1-1 draw. Steve Bone is Pompey Sound's resident expert predictor, and every week, as part of his podcast, Steve offers up his prediction, which ought to be of interest to correct score punters everywhere. Gamble responsibly.
Yes, I'm going to disappoint you if you think I'm going to be optimistic. I'm going to go for a narrow defeat, I'm afraid, this time. I think we're going to put in a good display. We're going to look like we might get a 1-1 draw, but I think we're going to lose 2-1. And it's not. And if we do, not a disaster. If we do, because I think we're going to pick up some points at home next week. So I'm going to go for 2-1 to Leicester. But I'm then also, I know you're not even asked me this yet, but I'm going to go for a 2-1 to Pompey at home to Coventry.
Always worth taking into consideration whatever it is that Steve Bone is saying in his predictions and indeed elsewhere, because he occasionally gets the correct score bang on the nose, and it's of a special interest when it's a correct score that goes against what everybody else is saying or fearing. So well worth a listen. If you didn't catch what he just said, then you can go to Steve's podcast. Go to Pompey Sound Podcasts on your podcast provider, and if you put in Pompey Sound, it's the podcast that begins with the word Steve.